Welcome, 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 Fortune Builders Passive Income Club Familia. We are, my name is Pablo Gonzalez. I am the co-host of what is called the Not Your Average Investor Show. And my co-host on that show is a man that I affectionately like to call GC because he knows these genius concepts, how to generate cash flow. It's a great co-host, and because his name is Gregg Cohen, co-founder of JWB Real Estate Capital. Say hello, Greg.
Hello, everybody. Fantastic to be with you today.
And today's topic is something that I have learned is one of the core tenets that JWB has developed in the world, right? Like this idea that most folks rush into real estate because of big dreams, right? Big dreams that are very, very hard to corral and turn into a very actionable idea. And what you and your team here at JWB, which we'll tell you a little bit about in a second, has figured out is how to aim small, right? Like how to wrap it around an actual outcome, a very real problem to solve for someone that you guys call, what do you call it, GC?
Outcome-based investing, of course.
Outcome-based investing. Tell me more about that.
You know, it's just so like deeply ingrained in who I am and you know, within our company that, you know, we just really think from the end point and we work backwards and really in everything we do. And it's been a method of success, and it's a method of success beyond real estate. But, you know, for many people in real estate, for some reason, we get so excited about the flashy things and we get excited about the things that are going to happen today. And that's wonderful. There's a lot to get excited about. But sometimes what we do as real estate investors is we struggle to see the middle point. We struggle to see the end result. And by default, what happens is we end up not getting there because we didn't start with the end in mind. And what I like to do and what this show is really about today is helping you, whether you're a brand new investor or maybe you're an experienced investor, maybe flipping the whole idea of why you're doing this on its head, starting with the end in mind. And through the hour that we have today together, what I think you'll find is that, number one, if you are thinking about investing in rental properties or you already are investing in rental properties, you have chosen a wonderful asset class. And number two, to accomplish these wonderful financial outcomes, you may not need to do as much as you thought. It may just be as simple as literally buying one rental property with the right team supporting you in the right market, and you might already be on the path to achieving some wonderful financial outcome that's really important to you. So couldn't be more excited about today.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the power of one house in today's Passive Income Club continuing education session. Before we get into it, just so you know, we are not financial advisors. Investments involve risk. Do your own due diligence. Anything else that I missed there?
No, I think you nailed it.
We got to do that part. And that being said, JWB is an arm of the education that you have already subscribed to by joining Fortune Builders. We are part of the Passive Income Club continuing education, and therefore you have already invested in what JWB does for folks, which starts with, for free for you, building out a financial plan that shows you how you add these rental properties to a portfolio that can achieve your outcomes. So we want you to understand the power of one house today, but we also want you to take advantage of this service and schedule a call with JWB by calling 904-677-6777. You can text them right now and they'll get back to you immediately at 904-293-0341, or the best thing that you can do is go to jwbrealestatecapital.com/FB for Fortune Builders. Pick a time slot that you can that works for you, and let JWB build this plan out for you because it is included. It is a step in your passive income education. Anything you want to add there, GC?
No, you're 2 for 2.
2 for 2. All right. So that being said, I'm not going to take your shine here. The reason why we get to be here and teach y'all is because, Greg, you were like band student number 1, right?
Yeah, I was the guinea pig.
Yeah.
I was the guinea pig. I was
20 years ago.
20 years ago. Man, I feel old. I feel old. Yeah, 20 years ago, I had the blessing, the opportunity to meet Than, Merrill, Paul, Asasian, Conrad, everybody on the Fortune Builders team before there was ever a Fortune Builders. I got to meet these wonderful, wonderful guys and I got to be exposed to this wonderful dynamic partnership, which I began to understand was this wonderful business that they built. before they started teaching other people how to do it. I was the very first person. I randomly went up to them at a conference, but it wasn't even their conference. And so, it's amazing how those moments really shape your career or your path in your life. And so I will forever be thankful for that opportunity. Than and Paul, really built the beginnings of the education experience by me, my business partner, and it was just this wonderful time. So it's been an incredible partnership for going on almost 20 years now. Together, we have helped thousands of Fortune Builders Passive Income Club students acquire rental properties here with the JWB team. And we've together generated hundreds of millions of dollars in profits and seen, many students go and accomplish those financial goals. So it all starts with this relationship, Joe. We are so thankful that Fortune Builders trust us with their recommendations and their referrals and the opportunity to educate you all here today. Every month we get to do this, so I hope you continue to join our education series so that you can become better equipped to make great decisions.
Yeah, and I've been part of this education series now for about like 5 years, but this is a 20-year partnership that you guys have, embarked on. And Gregg, he's not a guy that likes to gloat very much. I'm kind of a hype man for Gregg, and really at the end of the day, I think I wouldn't be doing my job right without saying, not only have you guys kind of like served this like passive income club education arm, but the company that you guys have built here at JWB is a super remarkable company that I have learned a lot from myself as a real estate investor. You have 130 employees. You guys won like Ernst Young Entrepreneur of the Year. It's a $200 million company, right? Like you guys have helped thousands of investors invest in rental properties. I'm one of those investors. You've changed my life. I have 5 rental properties. And yeah, I mean, I just think it's really remarkable what you guys are doing, especially now that you are actually also have purchased 20 city blocks of downtown Jacksonville and you're building this city in like a really, really interesting way. So just a little credibility there. For
I think it all comes down
Yeah.
to investing in your education and your relationships. And so thank you for that. I am so glad that you guys are here. This is an extension of exactly what I did 20 years ago to go and meet Than and Paul, right? You're investing in your education, your relationships, and it's amazing where those things can take you.
Excellent. Let's get right into it. We know that Passive Income Club likes to get right to the meat of the topic. GC, you have developed this presentation. We've taught it a couple times in the past for Passive Income Club members. So if you're coming back to us, happy to see you here again. If you're new to us, that's why we have to introduce ourselves. Tell me about the myth of the mega portfolio, right? Like, why is it so useful to like think about the power of one house instead of falling in love with this idea of, which you've done, you have 400 rental properties yourself, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like a bad thing to grow a giant portfolio. Right. But why does it hurt, kind of like early investors?
Well, I think it's really hard to understand how rental properties pay you. Many people don't understand that the 5 ways that rental properties pay you. But if we get to that place and people understand how rental properties actually pay you all these wonderful ways, what I often hear is, you know what, I'm going to use rental properties maybe as like a stepping stone to another asset. Like, yeah, a few rental properties, maybe, that's a stepping stone. But inherent in that, people don't believe that just a few rental properties, or maybe even just one rental property, can actually accomplish their financial outcome. So I think what's really missing is this education around how powerful just one house is. And if we understand just how powerful one house is, then we don't have to buy into this myth that you have to have 100 properties in order to reach your retirement goals or your financial freedom or send your kids or your grandkids to college or live a life of charity that's really important to you. You may only need one. You may only need to buy and hold one house. So I think this message is kind of 2 parts for me. I want to show people how wonderful this asset class is, and then I want to make it really tangible that you can do this, right? You can do this. Just one house, doing it the right way can really change your life.
Yeah. And, just so you all know, apart from teaching the passive income continuing education, we host this podcast weekly. It's called the Not Your Average Investor Show. This week, in fact, we were discussing the idea that the median age of a home buyer has gone from like in the 80s being like 32, 34, something like that, to in 2019 it was in the early 40s. Now it's in the early 50s. And the 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 ability for someone in your position, if you're in the passive income club, to add a passive income rental property to your portfolio, the value of that continues to go up
Right.
based on what these generational trends are being. I just bring that up because in today's show, we're going to show you by just buying one property, it serves as this kind of like power cell to pay off one kid's college education,
Right.
for example, right? We're going to start with that example to show you just the power of how one rental property can solve an actual problem for you. So let's start with that example right now, GC.
Let's do it.
Let's
Yeah.
set it up.
So I own over 400 rental properties. I just want you to know that because I know exactly the pain points and the wonderful things about rental property investing. And it all started with one.
Yeah.
It started with Than sitting me down and saying, hey, buddy, this is the path towards passive income. This is a great asset to do it. So it all starts with one. But every time I add a new property to my rental property portfolio, I don't think of it as like a property. I think it is solving a big problem in my life many years down the road.
Yep.
And so one of those big problems that many of us can relate to who have young kids or maybe grandkids is how are we going to send these kids to college? So I put some data behind just how big of a problem this is. Many people understand that it's going to be expensive. I don't know if we all realize how expensive it is. The cost of college is expensive today, and the cost of college is expected to rise 34% over the next 10 years. So I actually pulled the stats here for us, and that means if you run those costs out per student, and again, many of us have multiple kids. I have 2 kids of my own. Per student, we're looking at future college costs between roughly about 150 grand to about $340,000 per student starting in 2035. Not many of us, number one, have that kind of cash sitting around, and not many of us have a plan to be able to incur those kinds of costs, especially in the world and the economy that we live in here today.
Yeah, so if your kid is going to college in 10 years, you're looking at somewhere between 150K to almost $500,000 in college tuition, GC. So how could one rental property just by itself solve that?
Okay, so we're going to get real granular. One turnkey rental property. When I say turnkey, I mean, think of this as the passive approach,
Yeah.
right? You may have funds that you invest passively in your retirement account. It may build towards a future outcome for you. Think of just buying one turnkey rental property. I'm going to show you what it can do if you just simply buy and hold with the right team supporting you in the right market, and you buy and hold for 10 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is what JWB is built to do.
Yes.
Right. Like you guys have built this 130-person company that has thousands of investors that work with you. You manage 6,000 rental properties for people. So these numbers, these things that we're showing are based on proprietary data of recurring experience that happens over and over again that you've been doing.
Exactly. It's the model.
This is not a thesis.
It's the same thing that got me excited as the first Fortune Builder student is I thought Than and Paul and Conrad and everybody were awesome guys, but I also thought that their model was awesome. It's the model is what the real value is. So if we buy into this model of just buying the asset, the right market with the right team supporting it, and we hold onto this asset, let me show you what it can do for you in relation to this big expense that we have coming down the pike for us. So this happens to be an actual property in Jacksonville, Florida for our JWB turnkey clients. And you can see some of the stats here. It's a purchase price of $225,000. Your initial investment, which includes your down payment and your closing costs, roughly a little over $70,000 here. You can see it's new construction, which is really nice. 3 beds, 2 baths, a little over 1,200 square feet. Very normal for the new construction inventory in Jacksonville here with JWB. Notice that it's rented day one, which is nice. We're buying something that is a passive income stream when we get that when it's obviously rented. So it's rented from day one. And it's an asset that will return, call it a little under 11% per year for you. And just think about what we're doing here. You're putting roughly $70,000 down to control an asset that has a market value of $225,000. And
leverage, they call that, right?
That's called leverage, using other people's money. You may have heard this in other trainings within Passive Income Club. So we're using leverage to our advantage, and we're buying and we're holding this thing. and we're letting it do what real estate does over a full market cycle, which over a full market cycle, values go up. So it's hundreds of thousands of dollars of value that now is increasing because home values go up over a full market cycle. And we're going to see where this lands.
Yeah, and I think I had to hear the word leverage so many times before really truly understanding it, right? Like it sounds so good. Other people's money sounds so good. For me, kind of like the simple example is, we go back to these numbers. Let's say that this was $100,000 property with an estimated return of, 11%. And I put down 25%, right? That is $25,000. But that $100,000 property goes up by 11% in a year, let's say, and you have a property that's what, $111,000, right? At that point. And that looks like 11%. But if you think about the money that you put down, you only put down 25 of that, but you get the 11% appreciation on the rest of it.
Yes.
That's what that leverage is. If you then take that percentage of like what's 11,000 to $25,000, that is not 11%.
Exactly.
That is 30%, right? Like that's way up there. I'm not the math guy here. Right?
No, but what you're talking about is kind of like the 201 class or the 301 advanced level class. So if that didn't exactly land what Pablo's talking about, it takes a few times. We've been hosting the show together for 5 years.
It took me like a solid year and a half of hosting it weekly to figure that piece out.
I've been doing this for 20 years.
Still poorly explained.
So if you're not 100% following that, give us a call. Give us a call. Talk to a team that has done this thousands of times and can relate that right there to you, because that nugget right there might shape your outcome, your financial outcome, when you understand that right there.
Yeah, but the basic thing is you invest, you hold over time, equity builds up, right? Like that value of the property goes up over time. As the property increases, you get to benefit from that. Your loan balance decreases because your renter is paying. And because, like Gregg said, this is passive. There's a renter in it from day one. You also have cash flow coming in. And over 10 years, this continues to snowball into a really, really nice effect, GC. Right?
There you go.
So is that it? You just sit there, hold it for 10 years, and that's it?
You buy with the right team supporting you in the right market, and then you let it do what it does, right? But that's not where you stop, okay? Because now what we've done is we've made a great investment, but now we need to think of the equity that we have built up as a tool to help us accomplish our financial outcomes. Right now, as an economy, as a country, we have more equity in our homes than at any other point in our history. We have over $34 trillion of equity in our homes. I just did the research because I'm sharing a quarterly market update with our clients, and that comes down to a little over $302,000 of average equity per homeowner in the United States. So what that means is we have a lot of equity there, but all that is, if we don't do anything with that equity, our return on equity is zero. Okay, this is another one that took me a long time to really internalize. If you've built up a bunch of equity, but you don't do anything with it, it doesn't help you accomplish your financial goals. And
you have a house that you bought for $250,000, it's worth $500,000. If that house is just worth $500,000, they call you house rich, cash poor. But if you pull out that equity, that extra $250, and you put that to work for yourself, now you're no longer cash poor.
Exactly.
Right?
You could have that 250 in that example, put into another great investment, and this could be done responsibly, of course, put into another great investment that might be earning 10 or 11% on that money rather than just sitting dormant. And so what we do as a part of the model with JWB is we help clients understand when is the right time to harvest that equity, right? You've done a great job buying the asset, but if you want to accomplish your financial goals, think about equity as another tool to help you get there. Learn how to harvest it responsibly. And the way that we do that is through what's called a cash out refinance. A cash out refinance allows us to go to the bank and say, you know what? The value of this asset has gone up over the last 10 years. Bank, would you give me a new loan that is equal to 75% of the new value? And 75% of the new value is a lot more than what the previous loan was. And then there's that capital there that we're able to pull out. And then if your goals dictate buying another property, you're able to do that, or you can really use it in any way that your goals dictate.
Yeah.
So I'll kind of walk you through the math here because I know as fortune builders, we like to get into the nitty gritty a little bit and a little bit of the numbers. And guys,
before you go through the math, I just want to say, Aisha, Anthony, we're going to get to your questions here at the end. Greg's going to get through this presentation, explain the overall concept, and then we're going to answer some questions for y'all.
and we love the questions,
Yeah,
guys.
we
Keep
love the
them coming
questions.
for
Yeah.
sure. So what we've done is we had that original purchase price. The value has gone up over 10 years. And so if you look at this chart here, I'll kind of go a little bit of the major numbers here, but ultimately we know that the market value has gone up. If it goes up at the normal rate for Jacksonville real estate, it would be worth $359,000 now in 10 years. It's kind of shocking when you think about how much just 4.8% appreciation every year means.
Yeah.
But this is the value of putting a relatively small amount down and controlling an asset worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. So the market value has gone up significantly. We then go to the bank and say, would you give us a new loan? And this is how a lot of the banking industry is built. It is decades and decades and decades of banks loving to do loans just like this. Banks are protected, you're protected, and so they lend to you about 75% on average of what the new amount is. So here we have now a new loan of $270,000. There's some costs that come along the way. We have $2,500 of refi costs that come along the way. But now our original loan balance that we bought 10 years earlier, that loan balance has gone down because our residents paid that off for us. That new loan balance 10 years later is only $137,000. So we were able to pull out the difference there of 270 minus 137, which is roughly $130,000. Not only are we able to pull this money out and use it in the best way that our goals dictate we should use it.
Like paying for college.
Like paying for college. That's right. What we are also able to think about is we don't have to pay taxes on this money. This is not like you going out and having a salary and earning $130,000 in your job.
Or liquidating another investment, like having to sell an investment and have to pay capital gains tax on it.
There you go. How many people are dealt the cards of, well, I've got to send my kids to college. I need to get cash out of it. I'm in the stock market. How do I get cash out? Well, I sell that stock. Well, you pay capital gains when you do that, generally speaking. So now not only are you able to earn $130,000, which might send that one child to college, it's tax-free. So comparing it to other values, it's actually way more than $130,000. So guys, this is literally just one house that we bought. We bought it, we held it, we have the right team with the right model supporting us, and we did one technique here, which is not creative at all. This is not new and fancy. It's called a cash out refinance, and bankers out there are about the least risky individuals out there that want to take risk. And if you go into any bank right now and you say, hey, do you do a cash out refinance? They're going to say, yep. You know, so it is so, it doesn't have to be 100 properties to change your life. It doesn't have to be 100 properties or 10 properties to send our kids to college. It's one good decision, sticking with that model, and then working with a team who understands maybe a slight step up strategy right here. Nothing crazy, but the cash out refinance is a way to harvest that equity. And then, oh, by the way, you still have equity in the home. You still have $90,000 of additional equity, which protects you, protects the bank, and is additional return on your investment.
And you still have the home.
Yes, I forgot about that.
It's still yours. It's still creating that cash flow. It's still continuing to appreciate, right? Like, this is so different than, you know, investing in something that you then have to sell to then cash out and use that money. Like, when we're talking about paying for college with this thing, you pay for college, but you still have the investment in your net worth, and you are continuing to gain interest. You're continuing to gain cash flow from that. You're continuing to get the debt paid down and all that stuff, which essentially brings us to what we've been skirting around, which is the magic of this is that rental properties have 5 different profit centers. They have the cash flow that everybody likes to overvalue, right? And likes to talk about, right? We believe cash flow is great, right? It is You call it the entrance to the dance?
Yeah, it's the entrance to the
The
dance.
entrance to the dance, right? You want a property that's cash flowing positively every single month so that it's not a bad experience, right? But then you also get the tax savings that come from depreciating the property over time, and that allows you to keep that more of that cash flow. Unlike in other kind of asset classes, you have the principal pay down, what we just talked about. Your resident is paying down the loan that you are getting, that you are benefiting off of throughout the life of the loan. Then you have home price appreciation, which we just talked about. This idea that it goes up over time. That's where the leverage comes from, and all these good things. And then there's the idea that you are hedging against inflation. You're profiting against inflation because when you are using today's dollars for tomorrow's profits, there's just magic that happens. And unlike other asset classes, as inflation happens, as cost of goods go up, the replacement of like a window, a door, a roof, the replacement of your home keeps up with that, unlike with other asset classes.
Well
I think
said.
you would add there, GC.
No, I think it's a great overview. And if you'd like more information on that, talk to us, right? There's a whole lot more there to help you understand, especially things like inflation hedging, inflation profiting. We could probably do an entire education series just on that. So if none of this, or if some of this isn't exactly ringing true, get on the horn with us. We're happy to walk you through it.
Yeah, and we're going to get to questions in a second. But before that, GC, I think that there is one thing that everybody should know about the 5 profit centers. What is it?
Well, we need to look at how do we actually create wealth within these 5 profit centers. And I think many people don't understand this. But guys, I manage over $1 billion of rental property portfolios. I look at them every single month as we're preparing reports for our clients. And I get to see how real wealth is created. And many years ago, we started to put this in the form of a pie chart. And we said, okay, well, let's look at what we're doing for our clients. Let's look at if what people are paying attention to on the front end, which of these profit centers people are paying attention to on the front end lines up with how actual real wealth is created. And we found this very big disconnect. We found that many people are spending way, way too much time worrying about $10 of cash flow here or $25 of cash flow here or $100 of cash flow here when they're picking up, what's the acronym? Picking up?
Tripping over dollars to pick up pennies?
I can never remember which one it is. They're picking up the small thing and they're missing the big thing.
Yes, correct. I think I got it right for the first time.
The first time. All right, I'm going to lean on you in the future.
Tripping over dollars to pick up pennies.
Tripping over dollars. I thought there was alliteration somewhere. No, I don't know.
Tripping on.
Whatever it is, they're missing the big picture.
Yeah.
The big picture is when you buy and you hold, the biggest contributor to your wealth is going to be home price appreciation. And we've coined this term. What's the term, Pops?
Well, I'm actually really proud of this, right? Because as we started hosting these different shows showing all these different real estate investors over different times that have invested with JWB and seeing this trend, we started realizing that in this pie chart, right, kind of looks like a Pac-Man, right? This HPA, home price appreciation, that's the bigger piece, sometimes has an open mouth, sometimes has a closed mouth, but it always looks like the pie itself is a Pac-Man, and that's home price appreciation, and everything else is the mouth of the Pac-Man. So we call it the Pac-Man principle. And that has really allowed us to illustrate this idea that the magic sauce here is how the home price appreciation cooks for you over time, and you're able to then use that equity for all these different kinds of things, like a cash out refi, like a 1031 exchange, all these other kind of like advanced mechanisms that happen in rental property investing. That's what happens, but it's really the thing that allows you to invest 10 years later, pull out money, pay for a kid's education, and still hold on to the asset. That keeps going.
100%. And this model has been shown to be true, not dependent on when the client buys, right? We've been doing this for about 20 years. So we look at the Pac-Man principle lived out for a client that purchased in 2006, or a client that purchased in 2012, or a client that purchased in 2019. And on our show, we do client journeys where we highlight successful clients regularly. And they might have purchased last year or 3 years ago. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they bought in all cash. Doesn't matter if they financed it. Doesn't matter if they bought in their retirement account. Consistently, what we see is between 60 to 80% of the real wealth that is created is coming from home price appreciation.
And speaking of real wealth created, right, you have this like stat over here that we just kind of glossed over, that you delivered over $317 million in profits since 2011. And there's actually, we've been ranking those recently, kind of like cohorting them, if you will, into different buckets. And these are the folks that come to our Not Your Average Investor show community and our events. Many of them are Fortune Builders.
Yeah.
Came from Fortune Builders, right? In fact, like a big swath of it is of highly overlapped communities. But I'm one of these ones that started in 2021. I'm one of these 777 folks, which is a phenomenally lucky number. I'm actually really close to getting into this 180 of having over 500K in profits in just a short amount of time. But we have 180 of those, 41 that have amassed over $1 million in profits, and then 4 in over 2 million in profits over just a short amount of time here. And 5 or 6 are close, you're saying?
They are. And in the not too distant future, we'll welcome clients 5 and 6 to the $2 million club. That $317 million is a large number. That's all of your profits is what we're talking about. Those investor profits. And what I love about that is just think about the financial outcomes that have been accomplished there, the dreams that have been realized, the kids that have been sent to college, or the grandkids that have been sent to college. That's what this beautiful asset class can do for us. And I hope this, as we've kind of gone through some of the numbers here, you also feel like it's really tangible. Like we talked about buying one house, following the model. And it's something that you don't have to convince yourself that it can't be you or that it's too hard, right? Yeah. We're talking about one plan, one property, and accomplishing a great goal.
That's why we boil it down into the power of one house, right? Because you can get lost in this idea of like, how do I become a $2 million in profits person, right? You start by being one of these folks down here like me, and eventually it snowballs over time and you get to meet more and more people doing it. That being said, we're going to get into questions now, but like we said, it is already included in your Fortune Builders membership to hop on, have JWB do a personalized plan for you based on what your assets are, more importantly, what your goals are, and the experience that you are hoping to have. As a passive income club member, this is the quintessential passive income experience for rental properties. Everything done for you. From you guys are vertically integrated from the land acquisition to the construction to the renovations to the property management to the portfolio management. I, as a client at JWB, have a portfolio manager that I meet with regularly. She tells me where my money is going, how it's growing, talks me through the milestones that I want to hit in order to continue to build my portfolio. And then at the end of the year, helps me pay taxes and do all the stuff and blah, 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 blah. But it is a white glove experience of how you do this. So the best thing is to get that personalized service. Again, for free, get that plan built at jwbrealestatecapital.com/Fortune Builders. You ready for some questions?
Let's do it, baby.
All right. So we've got Aisha Skinner says, we have to take into consideration mortgage interest. How does mortgage interest fit into these 5 profit centers and these numbers that we shared?
Yes, absolutely. So mortgage interest rates are included. Of course, we assumed that we would be paying mortgage interest, and we assumed rates for today in those examples that we have there. So all that is taken into account. I think that the bigger question is like, does it make sense to do a cash out refinance in an environment where interest rates are higher than we all want? That's a great question. It's an individual answer for everyone. Mm-hmm. It's dictated by, number one, what's your goal? Yep. Right? Do you have goals where we need to create more income? If we do, then what tools do we have to do that? Do we have the tools to be able to do that without doing a cash out refinance? Well, maybe we'll explore those. Do we not have the resources to do that? Can a cash out refinance help us get there, even if we have to incur a higher interest rate? Well, if the answer is yes, if we want to get to this goal and we might need to incur a higher interest rate, but it's going to help us get to our goal faster, we're going to help you see that. Right? So it's highly personalized and customized. That's why, Aisha, first of all, thank you for being here and thank you for the question. I would highly encourage you to get on the phone with my team where we can break down that equation for you and build that plan for you, and then see how the numbers shake out for you.
Yeah. And the way I heard it was basically what I want to share was that all of these numbers that we shared, right, but particularly in this like property evaluation and this return profile, has every variable included, right? Like you guys, having done this for 20 years in one market, have essentially widgetized rental properties in a way that I've never seen anybody else do. Mm-hmm. So you really understand the maintenance costs that go into it, the vacancy assumptions that need to happen, right? Like how the property performs over time, including interest rates, including insurance in Florida, including all these different things that lead to finally this final return. Me as an investor, all I experience is the return.
Right.
So it's everything is all in included because of the vertical integration that you guys have pioneered. All right. Anthony Stevenson has a question. Should I buy one with cash so it is free and clear, or buy five, putting down, say, 20%?
Great question, Anthony. Again, it's going to be the perfect opportunity to sit down and look at your specific goals and your specific resources. So I don't have the opportunity to know that about you here. So please jump on the phone with us. We can give you a more detailed answer, but I'll give you something just in general, right? When you're buying for cash, that's largely a move to get maximum income today, right? Maximum cash flow, because you don't have a mortgage on the property. You're able to clear maybe $1,000 a month for every rental property that you buy. So that can serve the purpose for one investor. Maybe you have recently retired and you don't have an active income stream coming in right now. And that ability to generate $1,000 a month net to you every single month for your rental property, maybe that's more important right now. But what we need to recognize is when we buy with cash, while we increase our income on a monthly basis, what we actually give up is the best possible return on investment for us, because we're not using other people's money. And so if we're in a different place in life, maybe we're a little bit younger, maybe we are in our 30s or 40s, and we have strong income coming from our jobs or strong incomes coming from our real estate careers. And we necessarily don't need a ton of income right now. We want it to be cash flow positive, which we will, but we don't need a ton of it. We don't need $1,000 a month from every property to do that. Well, it might be a better thing for you to use other people's money and to put down, let's say, 20%. What you would do in that case is you would take less cash flow each month right now, but your overall profit pie would be larger after a 10-year hold. So not exactly sure about your situation, Anthony. My team would love to sit down with you and map it out for you. And you know, all of those answers could be the right one for you.
Anthony, what I've seen with Gregg hosting this show over the last 5 years and talking to hundreds of your clients on the show and off the show, because we've all become like one big community, is that this is really, you know, what they call financial engineering, right? Like when you have this like rental property portfolio, you have these options like you just asked, right? Like if you like $1 can do many different things depending on how you engineer that dollar. And it sounds like you're sitting in a position where you have some options, and it can be buy the house cash and maximize cash flow. It could be, you know, buy five of them at 20% down and maximize growth, or everything in between, right? Like we've talked to folks that have done all sorts of mixes, right? So like maybe there is like an ideal mix there based on what your goals are and your situation, how quickly you need the money for what it is, those kinds of things, right? So like that's why that like first call that you have with JWB is so valuable, and that's the, you know, the service that they can provide for you no matter what you're going to end up doing with it.
Absolutely.
So, all right, Chrissy Anderson says, I have minimal cash on hand. So with money down and repairs, I deplete my savings. So I have to wait 10 years to buy my second property, ? Even if I BRRR, I doubt the cash out would cover the money I already used.
All right, I just want to make sure I'm fully understanding this. So Chrissy has minimal cash on hand. She with the money down in repairs, she depletes her savings. So we have the opportunity to put that down, but she doesn't want to do that because it would deplete her savings. And her question is, does she need to wait 10 years to buy the second property? And then, and on top of that, she's saying if she did a strategy called the BRRRR method, I doubt the cash out would cover the money I already used. You know, Chrissy, I think this is a common place that we get to as investors. And maybe it's a place that we're at before our first investment, or maybe it's a place after our first investment, maybe in the beginning. But we get to this place and we're like, all right, the money's holding me back. The money's holding me back, right? What we talk about on the show is learning strategies where you can overcome the money problem, right? And there's many strategies. I learned this from Than and Paul personally, 20 years ago. They would tell me, you know what, Gregg, I know money seems like the biggest problem, but what they'll tell you is that the money is actually the easiest problem to solve if you're buying the right asset. And so there are a number of different ways that you can overcome the money problem. What I would not suggest doing is waiting 10 years to invest in an asset that can really start to drive a financial outcome for you. What I would suggest, Chrissy, is to tune into more events just like this, to surround yourself with others who maybe have been in your circumstance and have found a great way to be able to gain assets. Gain assets. People think that you need a ton of money in order to gain assets, but you don't necessarily need that, right? There's other ways. You can look at retirement accounts. Might be a great strategy to tap into some money that might be there to be able to accomplish that financial outcome for you. We can look at partnerships. I am certainly convinced just because you're here, Chrissy, on this show, you're already a part of a very valuable network and you're already getting access to incredible education here. I know that network and those relationships and the education you have is very valuable to somebody who's not here, right? Maybe there's a partnership where you can be the expert and somebody else can provide the money for you and you can partner up on this asset. Maybe there's a way that you can raise money to where you can raise money for the down payment, you control the asset, and then you pay that other person back on a schedule. That's actually what I did in the very beginning when I was 23 and I didn't have any money. So what I would ask you to do is just open up the mind a little bit more and think beyond. It's either I don't have the money right now and I have to wait 10 years. There's a ton of opportunity in between there. And I just encourage you to take advantage of the resources you have. This show, other trainings, other relationships that you have as a part of the Passive Income Club.
The other thing I can offer, Chrissy, just based on my own personal experience, is that it sounds to me like you are contemplating, based on the cash that you have on hand, you're also making a decision of like how active or how passive you want to be right now. I know that for me, when I was getting into real estate, I was just starting my own business. And I made a very conscious decision, like, yes, I could have gone out and found a property, remodeled it myself, renovated it, rented it out, refinanced it, repeated. But I made the conscious decision that I wanted to invest my time into building my own business, but I didn't want that to stop me from growing a real estate portfolio. And at the time, I also just thought, I just need to get started. I keep hearing from people that it's not the right thing isn't to wait to buy real estate at the right time. It's to buy real estate and wait. So I made the decision to just acquire my first rental property when I realized that JWB could do it for me completely passively. I looked down the barrel of like, wow, is it going to be 10 years, for like when I have my next one or not? And I just thought, man, I'm just going to get in. I'm going to allow it to do its thing. And in time, I know I'm going to be able to build my portfolio. And as luck would have it, things did work out, right? Like my business picked up. I found money elsewhere in retirement accounts. I cashed out another asset, another investment that I had to buy my third one. And it all kind of like started snowballing more fast than I expected it because I wasn't, I wasn't spinning my wheels wondering when to start or like, or how slowly this was going to be. I just knew that everything that I have ever learned in real estate was get in and then stuff starts to like open up in options and information that you gain, right? So like that's just been my experience. And I, like I recommend that you think about that. Think about the idea of like, do you want to go burr and like become active versus spending your time generating revenue and other things that you know that you're already good at? Or do you want to start and feel confident that you're going to win on the first deal and that will open up doors to other deals by working with somebody that's been vetted by Fortune Builders that's done this thousands of times, stuff like that.
And I'll just add on to that. The answer could be both.
It could be both.
Right. We have a lot of successful students who are also JWB clients, and they work on their active business in another market that is great for their active business, and they choose to invest their passive wealth in Jacksonville because this is a market that's built for that. So any of those answers might be the right one for you, Chrissy. We really appreciate you being here.
Yeah. And hop on a call, right? Like go through the exercise. We have an anonymous question in the Q&A. We love the anonymous questions. I currently inherited a property that has no mortgage. How do I maximize its use? Looking at making it a rental property.
Okay. All right. My first thought there, when you mentioned you have an inherited property that has no mortgage, I go back to this example that we just went through. And I think about how important it is to think about equity as a tool to help you accomplish your financial goals. So there's ways that we can maximize this property as being a rental property. And there's ways that we can maximize the equity that you have in the rental property to help you accomplish those financial outcomes. So keep that in mind. Simply using the same strategy that we talked about on this on the show today, the cash out refinance, that's something I would look at. If your goals dictate that you want to be here and we can use that equity in a responsible manner to get you closer to that, well, that's something certainly to consider. Next, how do you maximize it as a rental property? Well, I'm not exactly sure where the rental property is, if it's something that is local in your market, what your area of expertise is, what do you want to be doing? Ultimately, most people do not want to become property managers, and the dollar value of their time is much higher doing activities other than property management when you could have an entire company that has the experience and the talent and the systems to do those same activities probably better than you at a much lower cost. So for many people, they don't have the desire to be a property manager. And then if you think about it, dollar per hour, you can earn more money doing some other activity, building your business or flipping a house or whatnot. So maximizing the value, I would look at it from that lens, right? Compare your alternatives of being your own property manager with finding the best property manager in your market that allows you to earn a higher dollar per hour doing other activities. Most of the time, that's the successful path for a lot of folks. And then there's also just the peace of mind and not having to get the phone calls and things like that. Find the best in class property manager to handle all that, and they'll be excited to do it for you.
I would also say one of the biggest learnings I've had in hosting this show over the last 5 years and becoming a real estate investor is that most of us start off real estate investing really focusing on like the property. And then once they have the property, kind of like the market might be secondary. You might have inherited it like you just did. So you never even thought about the market. And then you spend some time going looking for a property manager and voila, like you're there. And what I see over and over again is that the most successful investors kind of like flip that order of operations on their head. They look for a team somewhere that they really, really, really trust. And once they figure out where those teams exist, then they analyze those markets for the conditions that lead to like meeting their goals, right? Is it a cash flow market? Is it an appreciation market? Does it have both? Is it a growing city? Like these kinds of things. And then, the property piece becomes really easy. And I say all this because you already, like inheriting a property fits that mold of that first thing. And I think what you can learn today is that you've inherited a property without mortgage, right? That means that you have options by cash out refinancing. You have options by 1041 exchanges, right? Like I would encourage you to find a really, really great operator. Doesn't matter which market, right? Like just like do a nationwide search. And at that point, decide, okay, does that mean that I really need to hold on to this property? And if I do, then maybe and by the way, is that operator in your market, right? Like that might happen. You might find a phenomenal operator in your market that fits the needs of like a passive rental property investor like yourself. Or you might think about, okay, so I found one that I really, really love, like JWB in Jacksonville, Florida, and I'm going to think about taking a cash out refi and investing in Jacksonville while this thing is operated over here, or maybe you're 1041 exchanging and doing things like that as well. So just like think operator first and prioritize that, because as a passive investor, that's the thing. Like you get your property one time, you inherited it one time, but you're going to have to own that thing for the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up 1031 exchange. This is a great example where a 1031 exchange can really help you. If you're not familiar with what a 1031 exchange is, it's a great way to get additional tax savings. Again, reach out to the team. We're happy to walk you through it, but anonymous a 10-day, which is what we call on the show. We like to think you're from France. So look into any of those combinations. Maybe a 1031 and putting your dollars in a better market with a better provider, or if it's to your advantage to keep it in your market, look to find the best in class property management company there that maximizes your dollar per hour, not necessarily turns you into an accidental property manager.
Awesome. Carol says she wants to find out more about this passive strategy because she's had a couple lumps doing it herself and she wants a W. So I shared with Carol, if this is you, if you've already, by the way, we talked to plenty of real estate investors. JWB, like I feel like I got really, really lucky that my first experience was with JWB, so I haven't taken an L. but we find that most people are like second time investors
Yeah.
that might have taken an L or two, and then they realize that they need an operator like JWB, so they realign their strategy around this operator first mindset. So Carol, I highly encourage going to jwbrealestatecapital.com/FB and taking advantage of this service. All right, so there's a couple here that are kind of related. Holly Dibbert says, I just bought my first home in the Villages, Florida, and I'm having difficulty renting it out. Of course, the winter months rented out immediately, but do you have any suggestions regarding short-term, long-term renters and any marketing strategies?
Oh, lots of marketing strategies. We've rented over 1,100 homes here just this year. I just happen to know this stat. We do it differently here at JWB. We only sign long-term leases. So everything is different about how we create these financial outcomes for clients. And as you get to learn more about how we do it, it'll be different, right? So lots of marketing strategies that I can share with you, but specifically focusing on long-term is what we do. And I think it's important to talk about why we do that, right? I also own short-term rentals. The boom of short-term rentals was a few years ago, and all of our clients at JWB, why don't you guys sell short-term rentals? And we've never sold short-term rentals, but I was curious. So we bought a few short-term rentals, and there's a reason we've held on to those for about 4 or 5 years. We are moving those over to long-term rentals because what many people are seeing and hearing and feeling is what Holly is feeling, is that, short-term rentals have great top-line numbers, but the bottom-line number doesn't exactly win. And it's highly dependent on an area. And short-term rentals really struggle in tough times for affordability and whatever type of recession may be on the table or whatnot. There's also risks for government regulations that you just don't face for long-term rentals.
There's also just platform risk, right? Like Airbnb just changed a couple of their core agreements right now that we're going to cover in a future Not Your Average Investor show. Surprise, surprise, you don't know that yet.
Can't wait.
But we're going to cover that. Anyways, continue.
Yeah. So, and then, so we put our own money into it. We found that it was not worth it. We've never sold a short-term rental. We're not going to at JWB. It was a part of our R&D department. But one thing we realized is that it sounds like real estate. It sounds like property management or rental property investing. What short-term rentals are is really hospitality. And I am not built to think like hospitality, right? I don't think about putting little wonderful mints on people's pillows and that being the difference between a 5-star review and a 4-star review. So just recognize that. Strategies that will help you when it comes to renting your property out. I think first, finding the best property management company will probably be the best strategy that you have, somebody that has significant experience in doing that. And I wouldn't settle for just renting it out on short-term leases or even 1-year leases, because ultimately what 1-year leases do is they lead to 1-year stays. And a 1-year stay might sound normal for you as a rental property owner, but a 1-year stay does not accomplish your financial goals. Because when people move out, you have to pay a lot of money in turnover costs. You have to pay mortgage payments when it took some time to get that new person into the rental home again. And you have to pay fees to that property management company to find that new person. So I would really encourage you to focus on finding the best property manager you can. That property manager should focus on signing 2- and 3-year leases. And if you want a few action items that really work well for us to rent homes out, none of it's rocket science. It's just execution. Signs, right? Doing signs, making sure that they're done well, that they're visible and where they need to be. Making sure that your homes are listed on Zillow, HotPads, Trulia. Unfortunately now they charge you to list homes on those sites, so there's a little bit of a cost there. Another reason to go and find a property management company who can absorb that cost for you. And making sure that really it's just the simple blocking and tackling things in order to get the word out about your property, but just executing. Signs need to go up every week because signs get taken down, right? Your listings need to be accurate. They need to have wonderful pictures. They need to make sure that they are putting your best foot forward. And those are the things. Those are the strategies that allow us to generate thousands of leads every single week and rent, hundreds of homes every month.
Good stuff, GC. I have nothing there. I've never actually looked at a
That's
rental
good. You
property.
should.
JWB does it for me. That being said, you guys have an average resident stay of about 4.5 years. So you do a
Yeah.
pretty darn good job of keeping those things busy.
That's the key. As you're thinking
Yeah.
about hiring a property manager, ask them what their average duration of resident stay is. If it's anywhere around 1 year or 2 years,
Or
that's
they
not
don't
enough.
know.
Or they don't know, that's not enough. 4.5 years is a standard.
Also, secret sauce, ask them their average renewal rate because you want people to
Mhm.
stay in, right?
There you go.
Anthony Stevenson says, pardon me, did I just hear you guys operate in Wichita, Kansas?
We do not. We do not operate in Wichita, Kansas.
Where do you operate, GC?
We are here in Jacksonville, Florida, and we have been here for 20 years. We will be here going forward. This is where we've planted our flag. We think this is the best market for both cash flow and growth, and it's a market that we're highly invested in, and that our team is here, and we have one location here in Jacksonville, and we're very excited to be here.
There's as a client of JWB's, I benefit from this kind of like non-traditional idea, which should be more common sense of instead of being a mile wide and an inch deep, being an inch wide and a mile deep, right? Like JWB by having 6,000 properties that all kind of like around the same areas. They have this, they spend like $7 million a month in construction. So they have this amazing purchasing power. They have this amazing like access to first response, right? Because you guys build that in because you're the big gorilla here in town. And then on top of that, there's just something about like the density and the scale and the ability to just like predict things, right? Because when you have 6,000 properties all revolving around like one urban core, chances are that you have somebody in the area always that is there, and it just adds to like this like flywheel of goodness that happens. So JWB focuses in Jacksonville. It's a great market. That being said, Wichita, Kansas, you know that's where I picked up Miss Piggy.
Is it?
Yeah, so I have a 5-month-old puppy.
Yes,
I
you
picked up
do.
from Wichita, Kansas.
Yeah.
About 2 months ago.
That's
So
cool,
I have a
man.
warm right when I saw Wichita, I just put a big smile on my
There we
face.
go. We love it.
That being said, Mammy Allen asks, do you have to do rentals only in the state that you are from, GC? What do you think about that?
No, the vast majority of our clients actually come from outside of the state of Florida. Many clients come from California, New York, Virginia, especially those places in the country where purchase prices are high, which largely means that they've acquired a lot of equity in their homes over the years, but they can't make it cash flow. They can't make it to where the rent covers the mortgage payment. And so, clients are looking for a better market where you can buy properties for $250,000 instead of 1.5 million. Where in Jacksonville, your rent to price ratio is such that it covers all of your expenses every single month. So it's very normal to be investing outside of your state. The vast majority of JWB clients come from many other states and then choose to invest passively here in Jacksonville.
There you go. Remember, operator, market, property, right? So like if you follow that model, then chances are that it's likely that you're going to invest in states that you're not from, right? As long as you have the right operator, you're good. Lily Mawa Yang says, I have $300K in my IRA invested in stocks. I'm 41, so I don't need to touch any of that money for a while. What's the best strategy to grow that money? Should I cash one property? Should I cash one property and finance another property with a HELOC, or should I just buy 2 properties and finance both?
Great questions. I'm so glad you're here. It's so wonderful that you have the resources that you do. Congratulations for being in that position. And then you also understand a few factors here, right? Cash flow for you is not the most important thing because it's just going to be in your retirement account. You're not going to touch it anyways. Growth, consistent, risk-adjusted growth is what you're searching for, the best risk-adjusted growth. So again, my answer is going to be, we gotta look at your specific situation. So I hope that you reach out and schedule a time to speak with our team, but just a couple of things to keep in mind. Knowing that you have $300,000 there might be an opportunity for us to do both of what you talked about, to maybe buy one property in cash and maybe to finance another property. Now, there's a lot to think about with financing properties in your retirement account. We could probably do an entire other show on it. We have many times, and I'm a wordy guy, so I'll try to not do that here. But But we really need to talk to you about what a loan inside your retirement account looks like. But just off the top from what you shared with me right there might be a strategy to do both, to make sure that you have enough income coming back into your account, which is important to offset the expenses that you may have, and then also to maximize your growth. And we love to financially engineer portfolios for you. So please reach out to our team. You know, I see you got the website there. Why don't you just maybe show that website there?
Show the website. That's a good call.
Because then I can show you exactly where to go. If you go to jwbrealestatecapital.com.
I'm not making this easy
slash
for you, buddy,
FB,
'cause I
you're
forgot
not.
my computer.
That's all right.
Yeah.
There you go. If you'd like to, so there's our page. If you'd like to view what sample inventory looks like, you can just click on that link, and then you can also schedule a time to speak with the team here if you'd like some specific examples of the type of assets that our clients invest with.
You go right into the calendar, you pick a time that works for you, easy peasy.
There you go.
The thing loads up quicker if I'm not doing a million things on my computer.
There we go.
There you go, all sorts of availability. So you can just hop on a call as it is convenient to you. So jwbrealestatecapital.com/FB. Last questions here from Antonia Gray Fenton. She says, does JWB have or offer or have a recommendation for repairing credit? Her situation is that she has minimum cash and needs stronger credit.
You know, I don't have a recommendation for you of who to send you to. I think that there's probably some really great resources within the Fortune Builders community to help you understand how to repair credit. There's a few simple rules I think to follow that can really make a big difference. One of them that I happen to know is on your credit card balances, you want to keep how much you're using on your credit cards at 30% or below what your balance is. And there's many others. So I would encourage you to reach out within the Fortune Builders community and the education that you already are a part of to do a little more digging there. And you know, we have seen clients increase their credit scores in a really short amount of time.
Yeah, there you go. And you know, we're getting some love here in the chat about great show, like from Christine and Mammy and stuff like that. Joanna, our community manager, put it in the chat. We do host this show. This is continuing education. We continue calling it a show because we host a show every Tuesday. It's educational. It's at 12:30. It's live here. If you go to nyais.com, it's called the Not Your Average Investor Show. You can also find it on podcast. You can also find it on YouTube. We're all over the internets. So we'd love for you to just kind of like come hang out with us more often, continue to get educated, Antonia. She's saying she lives in New Jersey, and when she visits Jacksonville in the spring, can she come visit?
100%.
100%.
Come on down.
Big old office over here. Will you guys be in your big new headquarters by that time?
When's she coming?
Spring next
Spring?
year?
Yeah. We're moving downtown.
Yeah.
We always, for 20 years, we've hosted anybody in the community. We always have lunch here. We have a chef here who prepares lunch for us. So if anybody's in local, give us a call, reach out to us, and we'd love to have you for lunch.
Carol said she's already booked and scheduled a call. Looking forward to this. Carol, thank you so much. I hope that you come to the show too and meet the community, get to know folks. Diane says, thank you so much, Greg and Pablo. Excellent training. Listen, we love doing this. We love sharing. We're going to go get some of that free lunch that JWB serves right now, but we always leave every single show with one piece of advice. What is it you see?
Don't be average.
Hope to see you soon.
See ya.